This is a podcast from soof.co.uk. Hello, I'm Patrick Downs. This is all about film, whether it be Blu-ray, DVD or streaming. This is Bring the Film. In No Time to Die, Bond has left active service and is enjoying a tranquil life in Jamaica. His peace is short-lived when his old friend Felix from the CIA turns up asking for help. The mission to rescue a kidnapped scientist turns out to be far more treacherous than expected, leading Bond into a trail of a mysterious villain armed with dangerous new technology.
The thing that no one wants to admit is that most people want things to happen to them. We tell each other lies about the fight for free will and independence, but we don't really want that. We want to be told how to live and then die when we are not looking. People want oblivion, and a few of us are born to build it for them. So here I am, their invisible God, sneaking under their skin.
You know that history isn't kind to those who play God.
And you don't? We both eradicate people to make the world a better place. I just want to be a little tidier.
Starring Daniel Craig for the final time as Bond, Rami Malek, Lea Seydoux and Naomi Harris. And our film correspondent Helly Donaghy caught up with Rami Malek about how it felt when he found out he was going to be the new Bond villain.
It's interesting because I want to start with Barbara and say, you know, there was a moment in Los Angeles where she saw me after a film, maybe I did a decade ago. And we sat down, and I couldn't believe that Barbara wanted to have a meeting with me. I was just, I wouldn't say starting out, but it was an early film that I had done. And she recognized something that I just appreciated that moment. And she said, you know, one day we are going to work together. I never thought it would be on a Bond film. So I was really taken aback. You get a flurry of emotions and butterflies, and immediately you think about, of course, the pressure, but that you're about to be part of cinematic history and something that's part of our cultural fabric.
Absolutely. And those scenes with Daniel Craig, they look very tense. What was that atmosphere like? What was your fondest moments working with Daniel Craig?
I think the moment you see Daniel, you just acknowledge that there's very little between him and 007. There's a sense of great leadership quality. You feel secure in his hands. At first, he can be quite intimidating as Bond, but as Daniel, a lot of that gets removed. So he's found a way to really inhabit that character, but at the same time, be a leader on set as Daniel and sometimes as Bond. And so there's a good safety net to have there, but when the camera starts rolling, it's fight or flight. And when you're looking Bond dead in the eye in those crisp blue eyes, you got to steel yourself because something magnetic's about to happen.
And the voice and the costume of yours is just so chilling. How did you go about researching and discovering the sound and the look of Safin?
That was, again, something from the beginning that Carrie and I kept going back and forth on. Do we want him to sound of a particular place? I mean, we're I think, inundated by a certain type of voice from a certain particular regions of the world that I didn't want anyone to get confused by. So I kind of used an amalgamation with the same dialect coach that I used for Bohemian Rhapsody. His name's William Conacher, and we just kept working on something, taking it to Carrie. Carrie would either approve or disapprove, and then finally we got something where the three of us just went, yeah, that's something that's gonna get underneath your skin. And I was working on Mr. Robot in New York when Suturat, our costume designer, would come out, and she would visit me on the weekends, and we would talk about the influence. Carrie wanted a little bit of a Japanese influence. I wanted a little bit of sophistication as well, and we combined the two. Of course, there's, you know, the sophistication in the simplicity of the Japanese wardrobe as well. But we used Issey Miyake as a reference, and wanted to make sure that the way he looks wasn't compromised in any way by his need to look after himself and be quite elegant and sophisticated as well. So I think it's often with creating a character is a balance of what is unnerving and what is still familiar in a way.
And Haley Donaghy caught up with Q himself, Ben Whishaw, about what he loves most about his character and being in these films.
I really, really enjoy the relationship that Q has with Bond and the chat and the repartee. It really satisfies me. Yeah, and I'm pleased that we've been able to kind of evolve that, develop that a bit in the last few films, and this one too. And what do I like most of all? I love being with the actors. I love being with Daniel and Rafe and Naomi and Rory, and getting to return to these characters and these actors again and again. It's so much fun.
And we get to see Q at home with his pet cat, I believe. And they say don't work with animals. How much did you enjoy working with the pet cat and showing us Q's home?
God, I'd forgotten about the cats, and I'd forgotten that it had been revealed that Q has cats. Well, it's been mentioned before, but I'd forgotten that they were, that people already knew that the cats featured. It was great. They were they're really special, these particular cats. And very intelligent and rather beautiful in a very strange way. I mean, I'm a cat lover anyway, so I take no persuading. But they were two of them, and they were very, very, very cute.
Oh, gorgeous. And of course, Q's the brains behind the incredible gadgets. What exciting new devices can audiences look forward to seeing, and do you have a favourite?
I feel like I don't want to give away too much in that regard about this film, because I think it would ruin the thrill for audiences who love Bond. But I was thinking about this, and I'm so thrilled that I got to because it's so iconic. I was so thrilled when I got to give him a watch that was also an explosive device in the previous film, Inspector, because in some ways, as I say in Skyfall, like, you know, we don't really do exploding pens anymore. But I'm really pleased that we got to kind of reference those really classic Bond moments. That was very exciting for me.
Absolutely. And just how emotional was your last day of filming with Daniel Craig? I don't know if you were there on the last day, but
I wasn't there on Daniel's last day, but there is something that's quite emotional that I'm also not going to reveal, but that occurred on my last day in the scene that I was filming, and I was amazed by how devastated I felt, because it's 3 films we've made, you know, all of us together with Daniel, and it's emotional that it's coming to a conclusion, coming to an end. I think he's been the most brilliant Bond. I'm in complete awe of how he's inhabited the role and how he's just carried himself through the whole experience, because I can't think of anything more insane than being James Bond. It must be such a mad life.
Lisa Seydoux plays Madeleine Swan. Now, our correspondent Haley Donaghy caught up with her about where we meet her character and Bond at the beginning of this film.
So we see them, it's right after Spectre, and they are like in love and in Italy, in a beautiful place called Matera. Very romantic, and then things will get like more complicated. Yeah, that's how it starts.
And I imagine some of the sort of couples' arguments are a bit more things at stake than your usual lovers' tiff. How much did you enjoy going head to head with Daniel Craig in your scenes? How much fun is he to work with?
It was great to work with him. I mean, really great. I have a lot of admiration for what he did with James Bond. He's like a very hard worker, and also he gave like he put his heart, you know, in that character, and I think that's why people they really loved him as a James Bond, and that's why for me also it's very emotional, because it's his last film, this one. We will miss him as a James Bond because he really changed the character. He created something new. And he's irreplaceable in a way. I mean, to my opinion. And as an actor, he was great to work with. Like very generous and attentive, you know.
And how excited are you for audiences to finally see this on the big screen?
Yeah, I can't wait for the audience to see it. Really, I'm sure they will be surprised by the film. And I love the fact that it has that emotion. You know.
Absolutely. And Rami Malek seems like such a different villain. How much did you admire his depiction of Safin in this, and what's he like to work with as well?
Rami, he's very... he loves to create like a character, but also physically. He works on his physicality, and he loves... he did an accent, a special accent for his villain. I always like to observe my how do you say, like the actors. They are like companions. You know, it's like always so interesting to watch them, how they work, and Rami is very specific. So I think he did a great job. Very scary. I was very scary.
The thing that no one wants to admit is that most people want things to happen to them. We tell each other lies about the fight for free will and independence, but we don't really want that. We want to be told how to live and then die when we are not looking. People want oblivion, and a few of us are born to build it for them. So here I am, their invisible God, sneaking under their skin.
You know that history isn't kind to those who play God.
And you don't? We both eradicate people to make the world a better place. I just want to be a little tidier.
Starring Daniel Craig for the final time as Bond, Rami Malek, Lea Seydoux and Naomi Harris. And our film correspondent Helly Donahue caught up with Barbara Broccoli and Michael G. Wilson, the producer, about how they decided and designed a believable current world threat that Bond has to face.
That's one of the toughest things, you know. We always start off by saying, you know, what is the world going to be afraid of in the next year or two, or a couple of years anyway. So we start off with that question, and we sort of have roundtable discussions with the writers and the director, and we go round and round, and we think about the various threats. And then we also say, you know, what is going to be the emotional challenge for Bond? That's also very interesting. You know, what are we going to put him through that he hasn't had to deal with before? And so it is a complex and difficult conundrum. But we really feel we cracked it on No Time to Die. I mean, we have, I think, a thrilling story, very exciting, also emotional. But, you know, we'll wait to see what the audiences think. Hopefully they'll love it as much as we do.
Absolutely. And we have to talk about the music. This time you're working with the incredible Hans Zimmer, with Johnny Marr on guitar, I believe. Tell us about that working relationship and what you wanted from the music.
Well, I think Hans is, is someone we've always wanted to involve in it, in the series. And he's just, he's not only an amazing composer, but and has brought a lot to this film and everything he works on, but he's also a very generous mentor. He has a lot of young composers that he works with, and he really mentors them. When you're in his studio and you see the process that's going on, you realize what a wonderful and generous person he is. He's just a dream to work with.
What did you ask of him for the music this time?
Well, you know, he knows exactly what to do. He knows that it's a Bond movie, so it involves a Bond theme in that, but also he knows that other new themes have to be woven in, and especially he saw, you know, in Billie Eilish, and he took the song that she and Finnegas wrote and put that into the score as well. So he's an amazing guy. You really don't have to tell him anything. He knows exactly what to do.
Absolutely.
And obviously it was a thrill to have Johnny Marr on guitar with the Bond theme. I mean, that was just like chills up and down your spine. I mean, that was something really remarkable.
Oh, amazing. And 2 new female agents with Lashana Lynch and Ana de Armas. How important was it to bring more strong female characters into Bond?
Well, there's been a long tradition of strong female characters from the books and through the film series and everything. And Lashana Lynch is just an extraordinary talent. She's an amazing actress. She really made such a huge commitment to this film in terms of, doing all the action and the training. She has such a great sense of herself, and I love the confidence that she brought to the character. The character is a very confident, self-assured person, and also with a wonderful sense of humor and tremendous humanity. So we just loved working with her. And then Ana de Armas, who is fantastic. I mean, we had a sequence in Cuba, and we thought it would be great to have a Cuban woman playing a Cuban woman in the film. And another woman who took her role very, very seriously, did a lot of training, a lot of action. And they both brought a lot of joy to us and to the film.
It's Daniel Craig's swan song as Bond in No Time to Die, and it's out now. And with that, thanks for checking me out on the Bring the Film podcast today. I'm Patrick Downs, and you can keep in touch across Twitter at I'm Patrick Downs, also on Instagram or facebook.com/officialpoptart. And there's also the website soof.co.uk. This is a podcast from soof.co.uk.